Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Vivian. So welcome to my channel. So in this video, we will continue our talk about the probabilities. So in our previous videos, we already talked about what is a sample space and some computing rules for size, which is also very important for probabilities. So you can find the videos as a link on the right app. So in these videos, we will continue our videos about the sample space. So in our previous site examples, we find some of the sample space is really complicated. They have many outcomes in one sample space. And if I ask you question is, how many of outcomes in one sample space? So if we want to know the answer, there is a straightforward way to do this. It means we write down this sample space and then we count how many elements we have in one sample space. However, instead of these methods, there are several other easier methods for us, and we can just directly get one number as a result instead of writing all of the outcomes of one sample space. So in these videos, I will talk about one important method. The name is multiplication rule. So multiplication rules, as this name talk, we will have some specific experiment and then we will use the computing multiplication to help us find how many outcomes we will have for one sample space. So here, the first thing is, what is our experiment? So in this experiment, this will have several steps. So here we assume this will have a series of k steps. So this experiment is a series of k steps. And then for each of the steps, we will have different possible outcomes. So for example, for the first step, we assume here we will have n1 possible outcomes. And then for the second step, what we will have, we can have another number of the possible outcomes. So here we say this is n2. And then for the last one, the k step, what we will have, we say this step we will have n sub k possible outcomes. So for this one, of course, the number n1, n2, and until nk, we can have different number, but we can also make them equal each other. So for example, if we have one experiment about flip several coins, for example, we flip 3 coins, and then for the first coin, how many outcomes we will have? Yeah, the answer is 2. We can get a tail or we can get a head. So that means now for this experiment, the n1 will equal 2. And then when we flip the second coin, it's same. It also have 2 possible outcomes, 1 tail, 1 head. So n2 will also equal 2. And until the last one, the n3 is also equal to. However, if we talk about other experiments, for example, we say we flip 1 coin and play a dice. Then for flip a coin, we have 2 outcomes, but when we play with the dice, it has 6, the number 1 until number 6. So then if this is 2-step experiment, the first one we have n1 equal 2, tail or head, but n2 will equal 6. Yeah, so then what's the answer for this? So for this, if we want to get the total numbers of our sample space, the total number of the possible outcomes. So the answer of this one is n1 times n2 times n2 times nk. So this is the formula to how to get how many outcomes we have for one sample space in this specific style. Yeah, so now it's a good time for us to talk about one example. So let's look at this example. So here, if we want to have a license plate, and this license plate have first 4 letters, so it's like A, B, C, D until Z, and then it's followed by 3 numbers. So the numbers is 0, 1, 2 until 9. So the question, first part A, is how many license plates are possible? So in this one, what we will talk about is how the first thing, if we want to answer this question, is this one is an experiment of several steps. So how many steps here? So now we will have n is equal 4 plus 3. So it's equal 7. So so this is k equal 4 plus 3 equals 7. So this is our steps. We have k steps. And then for each steps, how many outcomes? Then we know for the first 4 letters, we will have in total is 26 letters. But if we for numbers, then for number we only have 10 numbers. So that means for this question, for the first 4 steps, we will have step 1, 2, 3, 4 with 26 possible outcomes. So this is means for our N1, N2, N3, N4, the answer is 26 possible outcomes. But then for our N5, N6, and the last one, N7, we have 10 possible outcomes. So now we already get the enough information to use our formula. We get how many steps we have for this experiment. The answer is 7, and how many possible outcomes for each steps. And then now, if we get the number of the total outcomes, so we will use our formula. This is N1 times N2 until times N7. So this is 26 and to power 4 times 10 to power 3. And then if we use our calculator to compute this, we will get a really, really large number for this answer. So this is the answer for this part A. And then let's we talk about another case. So now the experiment is still same. We still talk about a license plate with 4 letters and followed by 3 numbers. But now this have one more requirement. The requirement is what if repetition is not allowed. So that means in case if we have a example, if we have a license with A, B, C, C, 0, 1, 2, then because this question we have 2C in our license plate, so this means this is not a correct license plate. Then for this one, now if we talk about how many steps we have for this experiment, the answer is still 7. It's still 4 letters with 3 numbers. However, if now we talk about what is the possible outcomes for each step, it's different with the previous part. So now for the first letters, we can choose any letters from the total 26 letters. But when we go to the second letters, we can choose any letters except the first letter. So if the first letter we already use A, then for the second position, we cannot use any A. So that means now we only have 25 possible letters. And then similar idea for the third letters. Now we can now choose any number, same with the first one and second one. So we will only have 26 minus 2. So this is 24. And then for the first one, 4, so this is equal 26 minus 3. We can now choose anyone from the first one, second one, and third one. So the answer is 23. And then for the N5, so now we go to the numbers. So here the numbers, for the first number, we will have 10 possible choice. But for the N6, which is the second numbers in this lesson's place, then we can now choose the number we already used. So that means we will have 10 minus 1 equal 9. And also for N7 is 10 minus 2. We can now choose the number in position N5 and the position on N6. So this is 10 minus 2. The answer is 8. So this is what will happen if we have a lessons plate without repetition. And now the answer for the total possible outcomes, we still use the same formula. It's still N1 times N2 until times the last one, N7. But now this is not as an equation as 26 to power 4 and times 10 to cube. So now what we will have an equation about 26 times 25 times 24 times 23 times 10, 9, and 8. So for this one, this is our answer. And if you compute this number by a calculator, you will find this number is much smaller than our answer in part A. So this is what we can use the multiplication rules to count how many outcomes we will have in one sample space. So if you like this video, please thumb up my videos and subscribe my channels. So I will continue for more rules and methods to how to count the numbers of outcomes in one sample space in my next video. So see you in my next video.